innovation mongwaneng, technology mongwaneng, speed mongwaneng. Hey, when
you are that someone I've been trying to meet.
Hello everybody, welcome to the channel. If you're new, special welcome to you, and if you're old, thank you so much for coming back. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for being a part of the gang. I really do appreciate you. And at this moment, I want to give a round of applause to all my subscribers. Yes. My name is Geraldine Ngibu Djetkeu. I am a Cameroonian residing in Johannesburg, Gauteng, in South Africa. On this channel, we do all things fit because I'm a Christian like that. We talk about adulting, and also we do all things lifestyle, and most importantly, we talk about life in South Africa because that's where I reside. Come on, like duh. And today we will be talking all things how is South Africa different from other African countries. Okay, you want to sit down to the end and hear this discussion. And just a little FYI, guys, this video, I do not aim to criticize anybody, any country, any nationality. I am just talking on my experience from living in South Africa to life in Cameroon. And also whatever I'm going to be saying is mostly about life in Johannesburg. I don't really want to say Gauteng because Gauteng is big, you know. It's small in terms of land, but it is big in terms of population. So because in terms of population, it's going to be different people, different lifestyles. So even in Pretoria, it's a different thing. In the Vaal, it's a whole different way of life. So I'm limiting this just to Johannesburg from my experience to life in Cameroon. So the first different of how South Africa is different from other African countries, number one will have to be in terms of infrastructure. Guys, if you are old on this channel, you know I love South African roads. You know I'm obsessed with South African roads. You know I'm obsessed with South African infrastructure. So that will have to be my number one, infrastructure. Did you know that South Africa is home to two of the tallest buildings in Africa? The Gauteng Center, which is in Johannesburg, CBD. I think people, it's known as Transnet. On top it's written Transnet, but normally they know it as a Gauteng Center. That building was the tallest building for over 40 years. It was the tallest building in Africa for over 40 years, you can imagine. But right now it's number 3 in the entire Africa. Number 2, the Ronaldo building in Sandton, which is still in South Africa. So South Africa is home to the tallest buildings. Like position number 2 and 3 goes to South Africa. So in terms of infrastructure, you all are killing it compared to Africa, the rest of Africa. Like, we don't compare. I know we don't compare. And in terms of the roads as well, South Africa has got beautiful roads, very interconnected road. Guys, like, and also what made me also like really talk about, like want to talk about South African roads is because there was a time where we had a guest from the States, and while driving him around Joburg, or he was like, can he go around seeing the town? And when he saw the roads, he was like, wow, South Africa's roads are even more developed than some European roads. You understand? That is a level that you guys like. Keep levels. You understand? You get it? But that does not mean that South Africa does not have bad roads. Yes, South Africa does have bad roads. I remember when I went to collect my gold samples to run my experiment. Guys, that road we went to, it's somewhere in Carolina then in Mpumalanga. It's close to like the border of South Africa and Swaziland or Eswatini. Guys, those roads, traveling on that road took me back to my days in Cameroon where, I don't know, those roads were horrible. So yes, in South Africa, they do have horrible roads or they do have bad roads. But in the city of Johannesburg, darlings, the roads are beautiful, okay? Compared to the rest of Africa, they're still developing, they're still trying. I know in my country for one, I've been to Douala, I've been to Limbe, I've been to Yaoundé. The roads are muddy, the roads are not the best. So comparing South Africa to other African countries, one thing which South Africa stands out for is infrastructure, is the roads. That's number one, okay? And that's on period. Number 2 I want to talk about is in terms of agriculture. In Cameroon, where I grew up, agriculture is a very big part of us. It's a very big part of the people, such a way that I don't think there's any Cameroonian who grew up in Cameroon and has never been to a farm. Because even in school, Boarding school, we had something called manual labor, and they used to make us cut grass. That's just how personal we are with farming and agriculture and everything. That's just how personal it gets. Because even in school, it was a subject. And don't come and argue with me, because that's how it was in Sika Baptist College. All Secrets or boarding school children, if you never cut grass in school, then you're lying. Because in Cameroon, cutting of grass was even corporal punishment. It was part of punishment in school. So agriculture in Cameroonians, P5 and 6, and the agricultural part of Cameroon is so big to the people that you will hardly find people that do not have farmland. I'm telling you a thing where I grew up in Limbe, and we in Motowo side. We would drive miles to go to the farm. We were still in Motowo, and we had a farm in Sonara. That's in the city. We had serious hectares of land for farming, and it's not that it was our land. We were renting. What I know is that those lands were we were renting and paying monthly. And whatever we did for farming, it was not for us to sell. It was just for us to consume at home. You understand? But that is just how big people and farming is. And also remember, even my grandmom, she had farms in another village. Village where it's far from my village, where we would go there for farming. And one of the things where she did farming, or they have farming for really production, because what I know in South Africa is that people that have serious hectares of land, body Mlungus, body Afrikaners, yes, they have serious hectares of land. And their land, I've seen that in Limpopo and also in Louisville. Louisville in wine making going on there. So these people have serious hectares of land of grape yards, or grape, they plant grapes. And in those areas where I'm saying that these people have serious hectares of land, they hire people to go to work on those farms. So in those areas, farming, it's people's jobs, it's people's profession, it's what people wake up in the morning, go to work and come back, So I've seen that a lot of those serious farmers in South Africa, they do it for sale, for sale to other people. And so for the other people, it's a job. In Cameroon, it's not a job. Who will come for you to hire them to be a farmer, to farm for you? Because everybody literally had a farm. And even as a thing, where growing up in Limbe, we had farms in Sonora. Even in our premises, on our yard, in our compound, we had a small farmland in front of the house and behind the house, where we used to grow things like green, just quick vegetables that you can just pluck and cook and eat instantly. So in Cameroon, buying of vegetables is not so much of a thing. But in South Africa, because the farming is limited to mostly rural areas, in the city, there's a lot of buying of vegetables. There's a lot of buying. There's just too much buying going on. You want vegetable, you buy. You want tomatoes, you buy. And even for those that can plant, they cannot do it on huge quantity. It's always very small. I'm saying very small, that even whatever you harvest from that farm could not be able to cook you a pot of, reasonable vegetable. And a lot of these people, they just have very small portion, because in the city as well, a lot of people are renting properties. People do not own property. So that limits the whole farming system in the city as well. So basically at this point in South Africa, in Johannesburg, there's not too much agriculture and farming going on. There's more of buying and selling. And even in Cameroon as well, I'm saying the thing where I grew up in the city, but there's still so much farming going on. There's still so much healthy eating going on there, So that's one thing with South Africa is different from the rest of Africa. There's too much cash. There's too much cash and buying going on in Johannesburg. And then the third thing is definitely the fast food life. In Cameroon, I can say we've got zero fast food. We do have the burgers, but it's not like the McDonald's burgers. So what I'm saying is zero fast food, because we don't have KFC, we don't have McDonald's, we don't have Chicken Licken, we don't have Roman's Pizza, but they make these things, right? I don't think anybody makes fried chicken and sell. I don't think so. But I know there are people that make burgers. You can go to the bakery and you would get burgers. You would also get pizza. Yes, I know those you can get from bakeries. But they don't do it on a large scale. Here you've got Debonnaise, who is limited to only making pizza. You've got KFC, who is making only chicken. You've got, in Cameroon, you hardly find that. A lot of Cameroon's fast food, I'll show you guys what it is like. It's like roasted plantain. It's like plum. it's like burning corn, you know. So these are like really heavy food. I remember when Cameroon hosted the AFCON, and the Ghanaians came on Twitter were complaining like, how can Cameroon not have KFC? KFC, which is the easiest fast food, which is the cheapest fast food in the world. How come we don't have it? I know there's KFC in Ghana and Nigeria, but in Cameroon we don't have KFC. Like they 0 fast food. So in terms of fast food, Cameroon does not have variety. In South Africa, yes. In Johannesburg, yes, you will get KFC. And I think in Johannesburg, there is people cling more to the fast food life than proper food, you know. So comparing Cameroon or South Africa and the rest of Africa in terms of fast food life, no, they are not. We are not. In Cameroon, we don't have those. In South Africa, yes. Then my fourth point definitely is gonna be housing. Guys, I don't know if I should talk of this as housing or I should talk of this as free things in South Africa. Because in Johannesburg, there's something they call RDP houses. RDP houses are houses which are being built by the government for the people, you know, but there are certain criteria you need to meet to be able to qualify for an RDP house, right? And what I also know was that I remember there's this malume who told me that in his village, like in the rural area, should you get married as a man, the chief gives you a piece of land for you to build and start your family. I was like, wow, guys, that is such a wow. That is so nice. Like, what you're talking about? In the city, you get a free house. In the city of Johannesburg. Mind you guys, Johannesburg is the smallest landscape in South Africa, or smallest province by land, but is the most populated. In this most populated city, people get free houses. South African government, you people are working. You people are working. Like, guys, sometimes count your battles. This is South Africans. Count your battles. Mara, you see this battle you have in South Africa with the government. Oh, shem. I need Nandi. Like, Moki heaven compared to the rest of other African countries. Moki heaven. I am not gonna lie to you about that. People get free houses. That's RDP houses. And now even in the villages, and also even the lands are in some villages, buying a piece of land is not so expensive. People could get land for as cheap as 500 rand. Mind you, $1 is like 17 rand, right? Convert that to dollar. 500 divided by 17, do your maths. That is how much it is in dollars. I see. If $1 is equivalent to 17 or 18 rand, $300 if they can buy a piece of land for 500 rand. $300 can afford you a piece of land, but in the rural areas, you know. But still, yet, if you go to Limpopo, hey, but vendor people, hey, I need a chef. People are putting up houses. People are putting up infrastructure. People are putting up buildings in the name of houses called Limpopo, called vendor. You're my way. So the vendor people, you all are doing super well. But another thing, yes, since I'm saying that land and housing is free in Cameroon, the rest of Africa, please come and tell me, can you get houses for free in your country? Because in my country, you don't. You would never, except it's in your dream. The only time you would get a free housing or a free property is if you inherit it, you know, and it's a thing that has been in the family for quite a while. Then you can inherit that. But not inheritance, free from who, for what, for why. In Cameroon, if you don't have money, you don't buy. In the city, for you to own a piece of land, to own a property, to own a house, yes, you need to buy. And what I also know is that there's a lot more personal construction going on in rural areas. When I say personal construction, I mean by people are building their houses more in rural areas than in the city. In Johannesburg, a lot of houses, if you want to have a house, you already buy, like you have to buy an already built house. It's hardly the case that in Johannesburg, a lot of people are into building their houses. People could just be renovating, but building an entire house from scratch to finish, it's really hard to find in Johannesburg. But in the rural areas, there's a lot of that going on. In Cameroon, a lot of people bought lands before they could build their houses on them, you know? So that's another thing that was different to me. Let's talk about also free things, you know. Another thing that South Africa is also different from other African countries is free public healthcare system. I've heard of people that have gone for antenatal and they paid nothing from the start to the end, and a lot of them were shocked. It's like, what? You don't pay? But that's in government hospitals. I must say, government hospitals. Those things are free, like free healthcare system. Even if you're injured, you can go to a public hospital. It's for free. In Cameroon, nothing is for free. I think if people were paying for oxygen, we would be paying for oxygen in that country. So hence I'm saying South African government and people's tax, the people's tax is very important. We mentioned that. The people's tax go a long way. It goes a long way to finance a lot. So all taxpayers, you guys are doing the most. Shout out to you people, okay? Because of you, there's a free healthcare system. There's even free schools. Yes, in one of my comments, someone did state that some schools are free. When I'm saying free, I mean completely free. Even transportation is free. I remember now, yes, in varsity or in university, I used to take free transport to school, like the bus. They had bus stops, so transportation was free to and fro school. Like transportation was free for university, I remember. And also I remember at university as well, there was also something called Gift of the Givers, where there was also free food, but it was not for everybody. There was also free food. Yes, I do remember that as well. So in terms of that, South Africa is different, you know, because there are lots of like, you know, it's positively different. It's positively different. I gotta give it to you guys. And another thing I want to talk about is the education system, right? Compared to Cameroon, South African education system, I know some people say that South African education system is lower. Can I say that I would want to politely support their view? Why do I say that? It's because at university or my first year, I could see the difference. I could see the gap between myself and my classmates who were from matric or from grade 12. You know, there was a bit of a gap. So that gave me an upper advantage. But it doesn't mean that South Africans are not smart. You understand? They're very, very, very smart people. So in terms of the education system, in Cameroon, for example, you can start going to school from as little as 2 years old. I did start school when I was 2 years old. In South Africa, you start grade 1 at 6 years old. To nursery 1 at 2 years old, and I was in school for 16 years, okay? So 2 years in nursery school, 2 years nursery school, and then 6 years in primary school, that's 8 years, and then 5 years in secondary school, that is 13, and then 2 years in high school. So in total, I spent 15 years before university. You see, I spent 15 years in school before university. So that's one thing. I do have an entire video. I'll put up the description, or you would see, you just check my playlist. You will see a video where I talk about schooling in Cameroon versus schooling in South Africa. So that's one thing. So I spent like 15 years in school before university, but in South Africa they've got like from grade 1 and then up until grade 12. So ideally also when you finish grade 12, you're around 18 years old. So in both systems, you finish almost around the same age before university. Yes, but it's also quite different. So that doesn't, like, the education system is different. So you see that in Cameroon, we go to school, like, and mind you, from nursery 1, you do start getting homework. Like, you get homework where you go and color in the box. You get homework where you go and shape the numbers. You get homework where you go and shape the letters. So I can say intense school starts, or intense school in Cameroon is for like 15 to 16 years. No, you go for 15 to 16 years, while in South Africa it's just 12 years. And in Cameroon, in all of this years, you get to write public exams 3 times, you know, contrary to South Africa where they only have a public exam 1 time, which is matric, you know, grade 12. In Cameroon, you see the way your matric is, where your name gets read on the newspaper, your name gets read on the radio. In Cameroon, we get 3 of those public exams within that 16 years of intense schooling, and while you guys just have 1 public. So I think it kind of makes you understand why people kind of state that South African educational system is kind of lower. But what I also know is that at the moment they're busy discussing the curriculum, you know, to update stuff and modify stuff. And what I also know is that Zimbabwe also has the same schooling system as Cameroon, because I know they also have advanced level and ordinary levels. That's why you also hear people say that Zimbabweans are smart people, you know, because we go to school for a very long time. We go to school for long before university. So there's a high chance that we cover some of the things which are being covered in university before time, you know. But nonetheless, at university level, the thermodynamics moved all of us. The applied thermo moved all of us. The mechanics and physics killed all of us. It did not spare anybody. So don't get too comfortable and think the South African education system, yes, prior to university, it's not the best, but at university level, I gotta say they're doing the most. They're doing the best. I mean, you get like your first, like your you also get UCT. I mean, they're doing amazing stuff. I think if you check best universities in Africa, South Africa also tops the list. Like your UJ, your VERT, your UCT, your, you know, the list goes on and on and on and on and on. And then another thing with South Africa is different from the rest of Africa. Like I said, I want to talk about the transportation system. I know in my previous video, I spoke about taxis and someone said in the Lokshin, taxi is not a hassle. But I'm still gonna say it. Taxi in South Africa, it's a struggle. It's a struggle, and I don't care, but it's a struggle for me. Maybe it's because I don't stay in the Lokshin or I stay in the suburb and things like that. So in the suburbs, getting taxis, it's really hard. Like for example, I stay in Kempton Park, right? That's in the east. Should I want to go to the north, let's say I want to go to Northgate or to the North Cliff, I would not find a taxi in Kempton Park going straight to the north. No. I have to get a taxi from Kempton Park, take me to the Central, which is the CBD, and from the Central, I can get a taxi going to Northgate and all of that. Hence the reason why I said taxi, it's a hassle. And people who say that taxis are not a hassle, it's mostly local. When I'm saying local, I'm not saying too far. Like people just from one stop to the next after a robot, or those ones came to the taxi is not a hassle. Let me ask people, even Lokshin people, in Whiteville, can you get a taxi in Whiteville going to, I'm saying Estrateng, I'm saying on the street. Can't you find a taxi going to, let me say Soweto? Or Soweto people, in Soweto, you guys will say taxi that has a, in Soweto, can you find a taxi going to Kempton Park? I don't think you would be able to find. You can maybe find taxis going to Joburg and all of this. So in South Africa, they've got something they call taxi rank. A taxi rank is a place where you are most likely to find taxis to many places. You know, I think even like I'm saying that, like for me to also go to the north or to go to Northgate, sometimes I'll take a taxi and go to Alex, and then from Alex I can find taxis to North. You understand? So hence I'm saying that it was a bit of a struggle. And if you've watched my video to Pretoria, I took literally 5 taxis to and from Pretoria, where I took a local Kempton Park. I went to the CBD, you know, to get a taxi to Pretoria, and then from Pretoria I dropped off in Pretoria CBD to go to where I was going to, you know. So for me to get to my destination, yes, I understand that one, but I felt like that was just a bit too much, you know. In terms of transportation, it's quite a hassle. That's what I keep saying, and I'm gonna say it with my full chest. I know I can't matwere, but with my full chest. Yes, taxi in South Africa or in Johannesburg, it's a hassle for me. Local taxis, yes, it's not so much of a hassle, because even from my door I can get a taxi going to Kempton Park CBD, but from my door I cannot get a taxi going to Johannesburg. For me to go to even Johannesburg, I need to, when I'm saying Johannesburg, I mean Johannesburg Central, okay? It's hard for me to get a taxi from my area going to Johannesburg CBD direct. I need to go to Kempton Park Central. And also another beautiful thing about South Africa now has got like mixed mode of transportation. There's Uber now, there's Taxify. Guys, at the junction, can we talk about Gauteng? Oh my god, I remember the first time I used that thing, right? I was so excited. I'm like, guys, and I went to school, I'm like, oh my god, guys, I used the Gauteng. That thing is so fast, that thing is. And my other friend just looked at me and he was like, Geraldine, say Gauteng. I'm gonna repeat it for those who do not hear. Say Gauteng. It's not Gauteng, it's Gauteng. Gauteng. I'm like, okay, it's Gauteng then, now I know. So like I said, if you watch my other video when I told you about South Africans loving their language, the Gauteng, it's kind of like native word or something of that sort. So it's not proper English. So I just thought I'd say that. The Gauteng, guys, that system of train, innovation, monganing, technology mongwaneng, speed mongwaneng. Hey, so they also have like this different mode of transportation, right? Contrary to Cameroon, I would literally get a taxi in front of my house. I could be going very far. I could be leaving Motowo and I'm going to Sokolo, and I would still find a taxi in front of my house, you know? And Cameroon as well, like I said, Cameroon, the bargaining. It's not like because we're going towards the same direction, we're going to pay the same fare. You is going very far, you pay more. You is going closer, you pay less. In South Africa, so long as all of us are going towards that same direction, they say high chance we're going to pay the same fare. You know, even if you're dropping far, and me, I'm dropping off closer. So long as we're going to the same taxi, honey, you're going to pay the same fare. And last on my list of how South Africa is different from other African countries is in terms of freedom. Guys, these people can use their freedom. This one, I'm not talking about Johannesburg. I mean South Africans and South Africa as well. The people can use their freedom. The people can exercise their rights, you know. The rest of Africa, just see what happened with NSAS in Nigeria and see what's happening in Cameroon with the Anglophone crisis. Those people have been going back and forth about this thing for years and they've still not been able to have a result. But in South Africa, the people were able to remove their president from power. Ofuna, what you want to tell me? What do you want to tell me? Eh? President Jacob Zuma was a president. I don't know from which year he was leading, but I know in 2018 he came off power because the people were like, we have had enough. We are tired. Down. And his party had to sit together and took him out of power. And now he's in court. I know, yes, the judiciary system is slow and all of that. He's been in court for so many years now. But just the fact that he's going to court and coming out, it's a thing. It shows that the people that in my country, you want to take Paul Biya to court as what? As who? Dear Africa, the rest of Africa, tell me, has any of your president ever gone to court? Has any of your law ever taken a president to court? In South Africa, they will take you to court. In parliament, they will hit you hard. Hey. When you've got the likes of Malema, Malema does not play. Malema does not play, that guy. In parliament, he comes for the people. He comes for the corrupt people. He comes... So in South Africa, that's one thing with South Africa is different, I think, from the rest of Africa, is that in terms of freedom, they exercise their rights. You know, amandla, away to. The people, they don't mind to just say, I go, what's in Tabafazi? Finish it. What's in Tabafazi? Yes, when you know it, you know it. So that's the one thing. Like I said, this video was not aimed at bashing or hyping any country, but South Africa is a very beautiful country. I think this is a point where I just really want to encourage the people to say, your country is beautiful. Do your best to make it better, you know. And that's just it, you know. But overall, South Africa is beautiful. South Africa, I was so shocked when they told me that South Africa is a developing country. I thought you were developed. I was so shocked because when I compare to the rest of Africa, I think South Africa is very developed. But someone was like, no, they are a developing country. I don't know what's the criteria for a developed country. I really do not know. But yeah, I just thought I'd share that with you guys of how South Africa is different from other African countries. Please let me know in the comment section what you think about this content. Please give this video a thumbs up. Remember, subscription is for free. And hey, before I forget, my darlings, so in one comment, a lot of you think I'm South African. A lot of you say my accent. Some say, you know, a lot of you think I'm South African, but I'm not. But I'm super grateful to this one person. God, I will look for that comment and I'm going to put it up here. I need to look for that, put it up here. Where the person gave me a name, Ute. They're going to be calling me Thandiwe. Thandiwe means a loved one, or loved, like you're loved. I almost did not accept that name because at university, I had this lecturer who, her name was Thandiwe, a very inspiring lady, you know, somebody that you really want to look up to and say, wow, I hope to become like her someday, because she got her PhD under 30. That's a huge milestone. That's an achievement, you know, you're a doctor under 13. The only problem I had with her was when it came to running an experiment, if it's not perfect, you're gonna go back to the lab. So, but you know, we deal with deadlines. Like, I'm running behind deadlines. You still want me to go back and run my sample? Are you serious? Are you kidding me? She just did not care. So she made submissions very late than the actual submissions. And you know, at university, if you submit your stuff late to your lecturer, they find you, they give you minus marks. But at least I'm happy that I was done with that life with her. But because she was called Thandiwe, I almost did not want the name until I was like, but Thandiwe, I think Thandiwe means love, you know. Thandi is like love, you know. So I'm gonna accept the name because of the meaning. So going further, Igamalami Ui Thandiwe Wabantu, of the people, because you guys gave me the name. So thank you so much to the person that gave me the name. I don't hate it. I'm gonna appreciate it. I'm gonna love it. And yeah, continue to be the wonderful, amazing person that you are. And I will see you guys in my next video.